Well, guess who's back? Yes, former President Joe Biden is adding his 2 cents about Minnesota. In a post on X, he accused the Trump administration of, quote, targeting American citizens. No single person can destroy what America stands for and believes in, not even a president, if we, all of America, stand up and speak out. So that comes as President Trump reshuffles his deck in Minneapolis. Greg Bovino is out. Tom Homan is in, meeting with Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey. President Trump also voicing his support for DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, telling reporters she will not be stepping down from her role. And here's Trump talking to Will Cain about everything that's going on in Minneapolis.
We're going to de-escalate a little bit. We have Tom Homan there now. We put him in there. He's great. I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you make little changes. Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here. Tom, I've noticed, as tough as he is, he gets along very good with governors and mayors. Now, I spoke to the mayor and to the governor yesterday, and they want to see it cleared up. Couldn't have been a nicer conversation. And in fact, I said to my people, I said, it's hard to believe that's the same guy I watch on television, or I watch in the debate not doing so well, or because we had a very reasonable conversation, very good conversation.
So as you can see, President Trump trying to bring down the temperature, but will these Democrats listen?
This ice should be crushed. Noem, gone. Homan, gone. Miller, gone. Masks off. Identification out. And law-abiding people no longer terrorized.
I was the person locking and unlocking doors at a supermercado in order to make sure that ICE wasn't entering the facilities.
Well, there's no way in hell that Senate Democrats can support this administration's agenda. Senate Democrats should not lift one finger to help advance the Trump agenda.
One of the tells.
Former President Joe Biden is making headlines once again as he publicly criticized the Trump administration, accusing it of targeting American citizens in a way that undermines the principles of the nation. In a post on X, Biden expressed deep concern over actions he perceives as threatening to the fundamental values that define America. He stated emphatically that no individual, even a sitting president, should have the power to destroy what the nation stands for, emphasizing that the strength of America lies in the people who unite, speak out, and defend democracy. This statement comes amid ongoing political tension and is being widely discussed across social media platforms, drawing thousands of reactions, retweets, and comments as citizens and political analysts dissect the implications of his words. At the same time, President Trump has been actively reshaping the leadership structure in Minneapolis, signaling a strategic shift rather than a retreat. He replaced Greg Bovino with Tom Homan, explaining that Homan has a proven track record of working effectively with state governors and local leaders, which is crucial in managing tense situations. Trump highlighted that while Bovino was competent and capable, his approach sometimes created friction in sensitive situations. The president noted that he personally spoke with both the mayor and the governor of Minneapolis and described these discussions as surprisingly productive and calm, especially compared to what the public might expect given previous conflicts. He framed these conversations as a sign that thoughtful dialogue can de-escalate tensions and produce practical solutions even in highly polarized environments. Trump also emphasized that the goal of this leadership reshuffle is to improve coordination and communication among federal, state, and local authorities. By bringing in Homan, who is described as tough but diplomatic, Trump intends to ensure that policies are implemented efficiently without creating unnecessary conflict. This move comes at a time of heightened scrutiny of federal actions in urban areas, where public perception and political optics are particularly sensitive. Analysts point out that the messaging from Trump regarding Minneapolis reflects both a tactical and strategic approach, balancing the need for law enforcement effectiveness with the political imperative of appearing reasonable and cooperative. Overall, this clip shows a complex interplay of national politics, local governance, and public sentiment. Biden's sharp critique frames the administration's actions as potentially harmful to democratic values, while Trump's strategic leadership adjustments attempt to calm tensions and reinforce the message that law enforcement can be firm yet collaborative. Social media reactions continue to amplify both narratives, setting the stage for ongoing debate and public scrutiny in the coming days.
About the conversation having gone well last night, Jesse, is that after President Trump talked to Walz and Frey, suddenly, as if by magic, the police, local police, were there helping and arresting violent agitators.
Yeah, I liked how Trump was like, man, Walz doesn't seem like such a doofus. The guy we watched melt down with Vance. So there was a deal, and we had Bovino and the Border Patrol boys in town to give ICE backup, to do crowd control, because the locals wouldn't help them since it's a sanctuary city. And so the deal is, after the mayhem on Saturday, we're going to send Bovino and Border Patrol back to the desert where they're trained to be, not doing crowd control in urban environments. If you guys cooperate and coordinate with ICE, give us the intel and hand over the bad hombres that have been charged criminally. And Walz said he would, but there's two problems. Walz's base is pissed because Walz's base is like, wait a second, we're going to be working with ICE, the Nazis, the Gestapo. You had a phone call with the dictator, and the deal is that ICE stays and gets the criminals out? They don't even want the criminals out. They want everyone to stay, no matter if you've raped, murdered, or pillaged. Now, Trump's base is also happy that he finessed the drama, but if we're just targeting people with criminal records, that's fine. But that's not enough. We want everybody that came into this country deported. Are we saying now that we're just going to wait for illegals to commit crimes? Like, there was a guy the other day, he threw a rock at a school bus, killed a girl, 8 years old. You're saying that if ICE had seen him the day before he threw the rock, we would have just let him stay? Why are we waiting around for people to commit crimes? I'm not saying you don't prioritize the bad hombres, but if you get swept up, you got to go. And when you send them home, it brings rent down, it brings prices down, it brings insurance down, and it brings wages up. So I hope the president maintains his resolve from what he promised the voters. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
While President Trump seeks to de-escalate tensions through leadership adjustments in Minneapolis, opposition to his administration's policies is intensifying, particularly regarding ICE, immigration and customs enforcement. Activists, local politicians, and some Democratic leaders have openly criticized the federal agency's actions, with calls to dismantle ICE, remove top officials, and halt enforcement operations growing louder. Many of these critics argue that federal law enforcement is overstepping its boundaries, claiming that targeted actions disproportionately impact immigrant communities. Some activists even described personally preventing ICE agents from entering facilities, underscoring the level of grassroots resistance that has emerged in response to enforcement efforts. Senate Democrats, meanwhile, have made it clear they will not support the Trump administration's agenda, with leaders stating they will not lift a finger to advance policies they view as unjust or harmful. This political stalemate has created a situation where federal and local authorities must navigate a complex web of legal constraints, public opinion, and operational challenges. Analysts note that this tension between federal enforcement and local cooperation highlights broader debates about immigration policy, civil rights, and political accountability in the United States. After President Trump engaged directly with state leaders, there appeared to be a temporary shift in local law enforcement activity. Reports indicate that local police began assisting with the arrest of violent agitators, something that previously seemed unlikely in a city characterized as a sanctuary jurisdiction. Commentators describe this as a negotiated outcome. Federal authorities would reduce their urban enforcement footprint, sending personnel like Bovino and Border Patrol agents back to areas better suited to their training, if local officials agreed to cooperate with ICE and hand over criminal offenders. This deal demonstrates the intricate negotiation required to balance law enforcement priorities with local political realities and community concerns. However, the agreement remains fragile. Democratic political bases and activist groups have expressed strong objections, fearing that cooperation with ICE could violate local values and protections for immigrant communities. At the same time, federal authorities remain focused on enforcing the law, prioritizing individuals with criminal records, and attempting to prevent violent incidents like recent attacks on school buses. This dual pressure creates a highly charged environment where each side interprets the other's actions as either overreach or necessary enforcement. Economists and policy experts also note that strict enforcement can have unintended consequences on housing costs, wages, and insurance rates, adding yet another layer of complexity to the situation. Meanwhile, Trump's messaging frames enforcement as both fair and practical, prioritizing dangerous offenders while claiming that broader cooperation could benefit local economies. The tension between these competing priorities continues to drive public debate and media coverage. Ultimately, this clip highlights the deep political, social, and operational challenges faced by federal and local authorities. While Trump attempts to project control and negotiation, opposition forces remain vocal and determined, keeping the debate highly visible and politically charged. Citizens, politicians, and media outlets continue to monitor developments closely, understanding that the outcomes in Minneapolis could have far-reaching implications for national immigration policy, law enforcement practices, and public perception of both federal and local government authority.